Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, folks. It's Tuesday, July 10th, around 7:18 p.m. I'd like to open the business meeting for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Board of Appeals will conduct this meeting according to rules laid out in Chapter 40A of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Robert's Rules of Order, and its other particular set of rules entitled Rules of Procedure, a copy of which is on file with the town clerk and available from the clerk at this meeting, and this meeting is being tape recorded. The first order of business is finance, and actually, we don't have a finance report this week,
No, I
Patty, or
gotta
do we?
reconcile with the town accountant, and that won't be done till the middle of July.
Okay.
So we have the warrant in the red folder to pay Larry Graham.
Everybody have that? Everybody see that? Sign it?
And underneath the agenda, you'll see the email from the town accountant for the escrow account.
Can I ask a question regarding the Graham one? Are we all set? Are we done paying him, or does he need to?
He's gonna continue on after for construction, so but I think I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna ask Jonathan.
Okay. Good enough.
I know he's staying on.
Yeah, so do I hear a motion to,
Yeah, I move to pay H.L. Graham Associates, Inc., $1,410 for professional services rendered in connection with a technical review, agent services for 34 East Main Street, the Olson property, for the period ending 6/8/2018.
Second?
friendly amendment to add the account classification code?
Adding the escrow account 8000-258-139.
Great. And there's a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Is there any discussion? You had a question about whether or not
Nope,
he's...
I
And
answered.
done,
the,
okay.
the backup is, I can hear you whisper just so you know the microphone's on. The backup for the escrow account is attached. And then we have approval for the business and hearing minutes from June 5th.
Hang on, we didn't vote on this yet. Hang on.
Oh, God. Too
So,
hot.
any other discussion on Graham? He will probably be retained through construction to verify the site plan is completed in accordance with the plans. That's why the building inspector doesn't necessarily.
But at that point, they'll be paid from.
It would still be under the ZBA,
Okay.
on the same account, but
Okay.
it would be paid by the applicant.
What if
yeah.
we paid him today? Just curious.
Good question. Is it in here, Patty?
Right?
7.
What are you looking at?
What have we paid him
Graham
today?
to date?
Okay, look at, mine's blue. The second sheet under the agenda, it says.
Oh, there it is.
1,000.
It's a Munis page. So you can see that
The contributions, 5270,
The deposit-
5720, excuse me.
the deposit started with 500, and then under debits, those are the invoices from Larry Graham. And the deposit from Shauna last time, and she just gave me another check right here to cover this bill you're paying for. She's short $123. She's giving me $1,200 because she can't fill, in the escrow agreement, she can't fill below 1,000, or it has to be replenished.
Excellent.
Okay.
So there's a little money there in there if Larry, and then we'll take it from there and see what happens.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that motion carries.
While
Anything
that's
else?
going around to sign,
$700.
Oh, wait,
That
I'll give you the
answer
whole
your
folder.
question?
This goes
yeah,
with it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
keep
That
the
one
folder,
together.
please.
All right.
And
So do I hear, did anybody have the chance to review the business and hearing minutes of June 5th, which is included in your packet as well?
Yep.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve the June 5th, 2018 minutes,
business and hearing.
business and hearing.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Is there any discussion on these?
Nope.
None? So long, these are, you did this from the tape, right?
yeah, those
Yeah, they
I
were
did
very
them
long,
from
yeah,
the
it's hard to do.
tape recording.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None?
I abstain because I
And
was
one
Yeah.
abstention, thank you,
Okay.
Gina. Okay, that motion carries.
Okay.
Patty,
Patty?
you need me to sign this warrant.
I only need 4. Double check on that.
Any other new business, Patty?
Yeah, new correspondence, most of it's related to the hearings, so I proposed the hearings. Notice of intent, for conservation for G Mello. And what you have is just it's a huge booklet. So I have the full booklet here, but it's a notice of intent. Construction of a residential drop-off area within the buffer. It's outside the current building envelope. I wrote that in. Did I write that in yours? 'Cause I was talking to the conservation
yep.
agent. They met with them a couple weeks ago. They're meeting with them again July 19th. They hired a third-party review agent because they were a little confused.
Right.
Then no new application will make the July 31st meeting because the legal deadline is passed, so that will be only for continuances. So I don't have a new application, although we have lots coming. And then that's it.
So we have no applications that would come for the July 31st
Not for that
date.
one. They're all gonna hit September 11th and
Okay.
October 9th.
Okay. Are there any other items that were not anticipated in the last 48 hours? I have one, but anybody else have anything? I want to next time talk about the possibility of sort of advertising what's going on with the zoning board somehow, a little bit better as far as getting the word out about what's going on. I want us to think about how we can either post online or what, to kind of keep people that are non-abutters a little more appraised of what's going on some of these things that people seem to have a lot of interest in. And there's been several instances where the feedback is, you know, why didn't I ever know about it? And I understand that not everybody's reading the announcements or going online, so. And it takes maybe some feedback with, you know, somebody in this building to understand exactly what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do with open meeting law. So I'd like to
check
have that
with Mike.
discussion at one of the next business meetings. We don't have to get into it tonight.
And we
But
can
if people
check.
could kind of think about that. I'd like to have somebody from the board maybe that's interested to sort of
Well, we're
spearhead
tinkering
that effort a
around
little
with a
bit.
couple different options. Everybody stays in social media. And we
Exactly.
also
Georgetown
have, we also
Mass
have our Georgetown
I
record.
don't touch
You know what I mean?
Georgetown News, there's a Georgetown Mass News page too.
But there's also just a tremendous amount of people though that don't, you know, get involved in social media. They don't have computers, especially a lot of the elderly. But, you know, and a lot of people don't get the paper, so it's like,
Well, and the truth is, the press box is always empty for these meetings,
Yeah.
and generally, it would be. But in the case of some of the hearings we've got going on, you know, it might be worth mentioning to the paper, hey,
I
you know,
agree.
we have this coming in,
I
this
agree.
might be something.
we've had
So-
some surprises lately. People coming up saying, I didn't know about this.
A lot of people might read the paper, but we haven't had a ZBA-related article in there for
True.
years, ever since I've been involved, to be honest
Yeah, I
with you.
mean-
Not that we need to, but it might be an option.
17 years ago, there were people sitting there from the Georgetown Academy. I mean, there was
Yeah.
always someone here. It's just,
Maybe we could post a
But-
ZBA update, kind of
Mm.
appear out maybe once a month in the record or something, what's going on, I don't know.
More importantly,
even 10 years.
I think the dissemination of factual data
Yep.
is important because
That's the problem with social media.
well, that's what I'm saying. I know it's an avenue,
Well, I
but
don't,
there's things that go out on social media, like when the school had the emergency and they called and then people thought it was a snow thing and then it turned into like now we have a security council and that's all good and we should because in today's day and age, you know, it's not like when I went to school or you for that matter. But the point is, factual data doesn't get disseminated all the time on social media. So that may be one option, but I'd have to think long and hard about how we want to do that. Whether it
Agree,
be
it's not straightforward.
yeah, and to create a email to the town like the schools do or something of that nature. I don't, you know, we don't have everybody's email in town, so I'm not sure it's as easy as
There
Come
is
on.
something that just went out about Georgetown News and you can sign up for it. I can look into that, cause I remembered, it's similar if you sign up
I just
for
wanna
the,
check with Mike, because as board members, I don't know how that,
it could only
if
be
more than
like
one-
agenda and it would only, I think we post our agenda.
meeting minutes.
well, I mean, our agendas are posted on the town website.
So maybe we forward those.
But I'm just, if it's like a Facebook, I don't know
Well,
how
there's,
that
there's
works.
a reason why the
with-
ads are written the way that they are.
Yeah.
They're very
Right. And I-
purely some facts which kind of your eyes gloss over when you read
People
half of it.
blow
But there's a
right by
reason
'em.
why they're written the way that they're written, and they tell specifically what's, what sections of the bylaw and all that kind of stuff.
But that's the type of stuff that
It
we
would be
can
nice to
send
get
out.
some of that beyond maybe just the abutters, in my opinion,
Oh, great, Jeff.
somehow.
Okay.
So we don't have to take too much tonight, but think about it. I think
Yep.
everybody's already kind of got that plate sort of spinning there, Paul would say, so
To use up
I
the
think
last.
next time we meet, maybe we can put it on the agenda. Paul spins a lot of plates.
How do you wanna word
I've
that
seen
on
'em.
the agenda? See.
I don't know,
Yeah, think about it.
CDA communications or something. All right, is there any other business?
The only other thing, so if you look at the bottom, we adjusted our schedule.
Oh, right, yep.
So September 11th is the second Tuesday because it's a state election. You can't meet on election. So then we moved October 9th to also the second Tuesday. And the first week in November is election day, so we moved November to the 13th, the second Tuesday. So we have the next three, instead of the first, you're gonna automatically go to your first Tuesday, it's gonna be the second Tuesday.
Well, right now, the next meeting is July 31st, which is the last
Right.
Tuesday.
And that's only for
Unless that,
something's
unless that
continued
gets,
today.
unless that gets canceled, so July 31st, September 11th, October 9th, November 3rd, and December 4th rounds out the balance of the year for the
So any new application I get in, we have 65 days to open, so yesterday was the deadline, was the 64 days, so it will be opened in September if one of these 5 that I got hanging out there are coming in. And Les is gonna do denial letters, and he's kind of backed up because Linda retired, so he's shorthanded. And it's kind of busy.
Okay,
That's it.
anything else? Hear a motion to close the business meeting for July 10th?
Make a motion and close the business meeting up. Second, G, you got me.
She hasn't
So
been
moved,
here.
yeah. Hey, you haven't lost a step.
Dave, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Okay.
none. Business meeting is closed, and it's 7:30, so we can move right into the hearings. The first thing we're gonna do, so the order for tonight is gonna be 203 East Main. And then we'll go to 20 Amberg, and then 34 East Main. So I'd like to reopen,
Janella.
the hearing for 203 East Main Street at this time. And you have some correspondence for us, Patty, correct?
Well, she just asked to continue to September 11th. Do you need the letter?
I think so, yeah, we ought to read that in.
Sorry, I'm just piled up. Here. Got it.
Mind reading that in the record for us?
Correspondence from McCann and McCann to the Georgetown Board of Appeals. Dear board members, and this is relative to 203 East Main Street, continuance request for special permit applications, chapters 165, 94, 81, 20-28, 29-38. Dear board members, as a follow-up to my June 27, 2018 letter, I understand that the board is not meeting in August, but rather will hold a meeting on July 31. Unfortunately, the applicant's development team is not available for the July 31st meeting. Therefore, on behalf of the applicant, G Mello Disposal Corp., I hereby request a continuance of this matter to the board's September 11th, 2018 meeting. Thank you for your consideration. Very truly yours, Nancy McCann.
Okay. So, at this point, they're obviously not here. Do I hear a motion to continue the hearing for 203 East Main Street to September 11th on or after 7:30?
I
So
move
moved.
to allow the applicant to continue G Mello Disposal Corp. to 9/11/2018 at 7:30 p.m. per the letter that I just read by Attorney McCann.
Second.
Thanks, David. Any discussion on this?
How
Go ahead.
how many times can they continue? Is there a procedural rule?
That's a good question. We actually brought that up.
They're all special.
Grant them an
they're all
extension
s-
already?
They're all, well,
Well, not
Yeah.
many,
No.
several times. We
they're
did.
all special permits, so the special permit, and Jonathan can stop me if I'm wrong, but it's not like a variance where you have 100 days, including the 14 days to write a decision. So it's when the close of the public hearing, that's when the 90 days starts for the decision. So she can keep continuing and continuing. The only thing is we got a Mullen rule with Sean, If Sean can't make September 11th, she's gonna have not enough members.
I'll be here.
Okay.
September,
I know
yeah.
your work schedule sometimes pops up, so your trips.
I mean, we do not always have to grant a continuance, but in the spirit of, cooperation, we generally would unless there's a reason not. However, this has been continued
Since-
multiple times
This
since
was open last
November,
October of 17.
October. So what I plan to do later this week is just reach out to Attorney McCann and just find out what their schedule really is and advise her that because of, at some point we may end up without a full board if this keeps going. So if they're ready to they got everything done. I'm not exactly sure what they're working on, and we did change our hearing date, so I understand if she wants somebody here and they're not available, that's fine. But come September, we should be, they should be fully prepared, I would think, at this point. So I just kind of want to find out from her what's going on and make sure that we're not going to run into the risk of
We didn't have a
having,
quorum for the first
not having
stage
a
yet,
quorum for
so-
the hearing.
Either.
So,
Aren't they,
know.
am I allowed to talk about this in
Yeah.
general?
but not about the hearing, just about the continuance.
So not specifically about the hearing?
Well, actually, we can. We're the hearing.
Well, I think,
We have a
aren't
motion
they,
on the floor.
aren't they obligated at this point to figure out what's going on with the lease agreement versus the tonnage, except like their application? Well, that's the thing, you're telling me I can't say it,
I
so.
don't know.
We're in
I
here.
mean,
I guess
They're not present, but
the question becomes, at the last meeting, at the end of the last meeting, there were a lot of questions that were remained unanswered.
Right.
That town council wanted to go back and review and find out if those answers were attainable or what
that's
happened.
absolutely true.
Okay. My question is,
kind of-
where are we with that? And if we go to the next meeting, are we prepared to use that information to assist
To
in
vote,
making
yeah.
a decision?
Yeah. So we do need to finalize that, and I don't know. if
It's
you wanna
sort of,
further discuss it. I can talk about that with you offline if you want, or we can talk about
No,
it. Happy to do it.
here's fine, here's fine.
You probably had a chance to review some of that, John.
I did look at the questions, we saw the continuation, so we didn't provide an answer to the board for this meeting, but we're certainly prepared to answer those questions whenever they're ready to
Okay.
go.
Can we do that
Or before.
offline sometime between now and
Sure.
hearing, so the board has time to think about in
Absolutely.
their minds what we can legally do or not?
yes.
Because that was really the question.
Right,
was-
and that's fine, just the qualification always is, I can provide an opinion to the questions, I can discuss with you, but the board can't discuss amongst themselves,
Correct.
obviously,
Yeah,
outside
right.
the meeting.
Maybe if you have an answer at some
outside
point
the
for me to
meeting or the
arrange.
hearing?
Outside of the hearing, right.
So we're kind of,
You just can't go back and forth.
can't discuss the nuances of this, of their application is evolving because we're not even sure what the tonnage, for example, is. And that's what they're working on, correct? I mean, that's why,
I-
or they're,
Partly, but as
A lot of
Dave
things
mentioned,
to work on.
there are some things that the board thought about doing that we're not sure how to even legally
Exactly,
structure,
yeah,
or
I
if it can be
understand,
done that
yeah.
way,
So
so
we-
those elements need to be
that's
fleshed out
what
from a
clearly
legal
they're working
opinion.
on, I'm hoping.
Well, these guys are gonna provide a
Yeah.
legal
They
opinion
were
on that.
working on it,
We can do
so-
that offline,
Yeah.
we can provide that response.
I just want to make sure we were prepared on our end, that's
Yes,
all.
absolutely, I agree, good point. So, I'll follow up with you offline when we're done. So, any other any other discussion about the continuance at this point? So it'd be continued to September now.
September 11th, 7:30.
Any issue with availability of anybody?
I will have new school clothes then too, so
Nice.
it'll be good.
So it'd be the
About
five
time.
Yeah.
of us. Okay,
It will not be,
I like that.
no,
All
I
in
know, but
favor?
it'll be new.
yeah.
It'll
All
be
those in
different.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, so that meeting is
Do I
continued to
abstain
this.
because I'm not part of it?
Yep.
Sure, you can abstain, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so that hearing is now continued, and we can move to open the application for 20 Amberg Street. So if you guys want to come on up.
Mr. Chair, I need to recuse myself.
Okay, Dave? You are in a butter.
I am in a butter and involved with the project.
Do
Okay,
you need to open it before he does that? Or is that okay?
I thought I did.
As long as it's on the record.
Okay. Hi.
How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Great, thanks.
So I went ahead and opened the hearing. So before we start, I'd just like to introduce the members of the board. So we have Gina Tebow and Dave Twist and Paul Schillen, Sean Dean, Dave has recused himself. I'm Jeff Moore, I'm the chair. So these 5 members will be voting on your hearing. And we have town council here as well, which is John Eichman. He's here for another hearing, but as you just saw, we tend to lean on him from time to time with any legal questions. So what we'll do is, if you guys want to just introduce yourselves and kind of explain what it is you're doing, give us just a brief overview. And then generally what we'll do is members of the board may ask you questions about your project, you know, and then you can follow up with that. There is a legal notice actually that I'm going to go ahead and read before we get started, so bear with me for just a second. Patty, do I have the legal? Oh, here it is. My apologies.
Attached to
Hey, Sean, up
the
for all this.
exhibits.
Yeah, I got it right
It's
here.
attached to the exhibits.
Yep, thank you.
This too, to read.
Legal notice, Town of Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals. A public hearing will be held on July 10th, 2018 at 7:30 PM at the Georgetown Town Hall, 3rd floor meeting room for an application filed by, is it Colleen White of 20 Amberg Street, Georgetown, Mass. For a special permit to construct an accessory apartment in addition to a single-family dwelling. The property is located at 20 Amberg Street in the RB District and identified on Assessor's Map 18, Lot 118 pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9, and the Georgetown Zoning Bylaws, Chapter 165, Sections 9, 69, 74-79, also found on the website. Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association, ZBA file 19-01. It's ad number 136939193. It was in the Georgetown Record on 6/1 and 6/8 of 2018.
Awesome, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll get that out of the way. So if you guys want to introduce yourself and just kind of explain a little bit about what you're doing, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Colleen White from 20 Amberg Street, and I would like to build an accessory apartment for my parents who are here tonight.
I was wrong in the ad, just,
Just reading.
oh, I don't know if that matters. But
So wherever you like. You don't have to stand.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm Dan Kapnis.
Hey, Dan.
I did the design on it and worked with the surveyor. So you see here, her existing house, we're meeting all the setbacks by quite a bit. I believe you guys have copies of all this. The only thing that may not be in paperwork that you guys got, it showed our square footage being in the upper 6s, because that was going off a very generic, conservative, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't more than I said it was. But then after getting the specific town regulations on what's included and what's not, I have a bunch of copies of this sheet if anybody's interested. But per Georgetown's laws, we're actually at 560.9 square feet. We should be allowed up to 700.
That's the livable floor area.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did you say 560?
560.9. I have
Yeah,
several
that'd be great.
copies.
You can give it to Patty, we can work it around maybe.
oh, and it says
Yeah.
697.
Yeah.
Right. And that was including halls and closets. And
There it is.
Gotcha.
So do you want to go through the plans a little bit and just kind of walk us through exactly what's going on? I think everybody kind of had the chance to review it, but maybe you can
So this is,
kind of compare existing to proposed, I think is usually what we're.
the solid lines are all the existing, and then this square dash lines, that's the proposed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have, if you'd like me to grab them, I have renderings showing what it looks like
You
now. what it
you
looks
guys
like
have the
after.
11 by 17.
Yeah, we have.
You already have them, so that should give you an idea of, there's basically a 24.5 by 25.3 foot square. Single bedroom. We went through all the laws of Georgetown bylaw for an accessory apartment, and I believe it meets all of them.
Okay. We have some exhibits. Do we want to read those into the record? So we're going to hold that up just a second. When you guys want to take care of doing this? Pass the buck if you want, Sean.
That's okay. Exhibits for 20 Amberg. Exhibit 1 is the plan of the land dated 5/11/2018 by Bartman Land Survey of Byfield, stamped by PLS Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 2 is plan of existing lower level floor plan dated 5/22/2018, stamped by Richard J. Bartman of Byfield. Exhibit 3 is upper level floor plan dated 5/22/2018, stamped by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 4 is proposed accessory apartment, lower level floor plan dated 5/22/2018, stamped by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 5, proposed accessory apartment, upper level floor plan dated 5/22/2018, by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 6 is existing floor elevation dated 5/22/2018 by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 7 is existing right side elevation dated 5/22/2018, stamped by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 8 is the existing left side elevation dated 5/22/2018, stamped by Richard J. Bartman. Exhibit 9, existing rear elevation, dated same, stamped by same. Exhibit 10, proposed front elevation, same date. Exhibit 11, proposed right elevation, same date, stamped by Richard J. Bartman.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just want to make sure there aren't others. We have 1 through 13 listed on here. Is there 11 total, Patty?
11, yes.
11, okay, I just want to make sure we got this right.
Oh, that's a copy paste.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a copy paste.
Okay. Good, so are there any questions from the board at this point?
So, is the existing dwelling a two-bedroom?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. It is.
Sorry, I was just double
Trick
checking.
question.
I think I saw a memo from the Board of Health, actually.
Yeah.
We haven't put that with the
20 Amberg Street has 3 bedrooms, 7 rooms max. That's inclusive of the addition,
Yeah.
I'm assuming?
That's
So
the
the
max
existing
septic
is
will
2,
allow.
and you're gonna move up to 3, right? And the septic is existing?
Yes.
You're not doing any upgrade?
Nope.
And the septic is a three-bedroom? Yes, yes, that's what it said.
So, do you guys have any other questions at all? No. I had one, and as I went through the elevations, first of all, the square foot, I agreed, I wasn't quite getting the same number. But I got 684 or something that is, as far as livable. Are you counting the first floor in that number? Oh, actually, you just gave us a calculation.
Yeah. Of course, I didn't keep one for myself, so.
All right. I guess it doesn't much matter, because even if you include, I was wondering if you're including, oh, you are including the bedroom down below, okay. Good. Just wanna make sure.
So it is 2 floors, that's what that's
Yeah,
what
it's
was
2
confusing
stories,
me.
so, I mean, sometimes people consider that a basement and say, well, we don't have to count that.
Right.
But in your case, you are anyway,
Yeah.
and even if you count all of it, you're still under 700, and you've
Right.
obviously gone through and done a more detailed calculation, so it's fine either way, they're underneath the 700. But I did have a question about the existing, is it the west wall, I guess, where the 2 buildings meet? The addition is gonna be offset, it's brought forward a little bit from the existing face of the building, from what I can
Right.
tell, right? You've got a basement window, and you've got a couple of, call it first floor windows, I believe, on the existing house. So those are gonna get filled in, I assume?
Facing.
Yeah, you're gonna,
facing
you're gonna,
elevation, Yep.
so you have one in the basement, you have a basement window there. I was trying to,
Yeah, that'll have to be blocked off, and the HVAC unit will be relocated.
I saw that in the plan, yeah, okay, so that gets moved. And then there's 2 windows on the upper floor, I think, that have to get
Correct.
Yep.
filled in.
Yes.
And then there's no access between the units from inside the house, right?
Nope.
Okay. If at some point down the road, if this had to be converted back to a single family, could there be structurally access, could there be access created? Both the floors are at
Could
the
you
same
cut a
level.
hole in the second floor wall and make a entrance into that side of the
Yes.
house?
It looked like
would
the
be
floors were
going-
at the same
would-
level.
Yeah, they're the same height. Would be going through a bedroom, so we'd have to do a hallway, but it absolutely could be done.
Yeah. And this is like it's gonna be built as a freestanding structure, looks like you're doing a new foundation. The wall is the wall gonna be a common wall in the existing building, or are you just kind of reframing a whole separate wall and kind of butting them next to each other, kind of thing? I don't know if
Is there a firewall there or not?
Yes, it'll be basically
So it's freestanding.
separate. We'll pull off all the siding, but the sheathing and the framing will remain, and we'll be building.
right to
Right
that
up against
existing-
it.
Yeah, okay. All right. A lot of people, you know, this will be conditioned to ownership, so as long as you're the owner and you have a family member living there, it'd be fine, but as soon as the house is sold or if anyone moves out, the permit technically expires. And particularly on a sale, people, I just wanna make sure people are clear that you could keep the accessory, but a new owner would have to come in and reapply for the permit to renew it. So,
And it wouldn't be a multifamily, because it could almost be construed as a multifamily because of separate entrances and no common connection. So that would, is that where you were going to?
right, I mean, a lot of people might think it as an apartment, and then you go to rent it out. You can rent it to a family member, rent is not the issue, it's an issue of basically converting it to a two-family down the road. So, in the event that you go to sell your property and the new owner, for whatever reason, is interested in a single family, technically this can be converted back into a single family, which, just for clarity, so. And that makes sense. If you had different floors and all, it kinda can get different, or different structure off the back can get a little bit more tricky to do. You guys have any other questions on this?
No, just procedurally, do you need to mark this, or do we need to amend the applications? Either way,
That's
it's
usually
under.
included in the application, so, you can actually, why don't we put that as,
For the decision.
yeah, why don't we put that as, 12? The livable floor area calculation.
I have a quick question for you, sir. This is the main access to the main house, to the first house. The driveway, do we have plans of the site? Do we have that on there?
It doesn't show the
All right,
driveway.
so-
That one there, yeah.
So the driveway, where's the driveway? How's it work?
It's on the right, you see the steps?
Comes
going
right
down?
up in here?
That's
Yep.
the driveway right there.
So the main access into the residence is right through here,
That's,
up
that's,
these stairs?
that's the more common used
Yep.
one.
So how do you is there another like curb cut here so you can get another driveway out? There'll be two driveways?
I believe we're planning on sticking with the one driveway. It's two
So-
car wide, so it's a good sized
Oh,
driveway.
where's the driveway? Like in front or
To
is it
the,
on,
to the right.
right here?
Yep.
So there'll be a walkway, in other words, down,
Correct.
all the way down here?
There already is to the front door, and
Up to
it'll
here,
just,
yep.
it'll just continue past and go over to the other stairs.
All right, I mean, you may wanna, if this is an in-law apartment, you may wanna get,
Is there a problem with
No,
having
no.
the second driveway?
I don't think so. It's just maybe something you wanna think about.
Right.
If you have to cut the curb, you just need, if there
You
is
just need a
curb
permit to
there,
do it.
You need a permit to cut the
So
curb.
I'm not I think your setbacks are fine.
We've talked about possibly. doing
Yeah,
that.
you just, I mean,
We'd have to
for
check
the
with
sake
the
of
highway.
discussion, you probably need to,
It's lower.
you don't have to, I don't know, you need to tell us necessarily, but
That would have to be
with the knowledge that there will be another driveway in here is important to us, only because we need to determine, like, if there was a big loop driveway, it would be nice to know, because it's for the neighborhood. We're trying to determine if it's
Detrimental.
If they need a
Thank you.
curb cut, they have to go to highway.
Which, yeah, so you will, yeah, if you do another driveway here, doesn't necessarily, we don't,
There.
it's not under our jurisdiction to say you can't have one,
Okay.
but it would be nice to know that, yes, and we plan on having another driveway here. And then our issue would be, does that then look more like, a two-family home versus a single-family home? So it's possible that you want the driveway to come in, loop to the front, a walkway going around this way, and it loops back out again. So then it has a perception that it's a single-family home, or,
Yeah,
as opposed to a
right.
two-family.
Okay.
So that's I don't think it,
Either scenario is the highway's call, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's gotta keep the single family characteristics.
Well,
Correct, but what
exactly.
he's
And
saying
that's-
is,
And that's one thing I have, like, is there a reason why you don't have a common entrance? Like, it's
Just-
not very common to have it
Just because
built.
there's bedrooms. If you look at the floor plans, the
Just
common wall
your-
is bedrooms,
it's
so you'd have
bedrooms.
to go
through a bedroom.
Which wouldn't be ideal.
So it may behoove you to go with the round driveway.
Right.
Oh, and the existing structure is the bedroom.
Right.
Oh, and the other one, it's a living room, right, I see what
You
you're
can
saying.
keep your driveway
But would have to
now,
go through the
peel it
existing
off,
bedroom
and do
to-
a circle,
Right.
and that
okay.
way it looks
that
as
would
if
be
it's
better.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You just
Come through that
probably
closet,
still need
maybe,
to check
or
with the
the
highway
closet, make it a
department and make
hallway.
sure you can get the curb cut.
Cut through the.
I don't think, once they, we have a decision tonight, you can go with that to them and say,
Yes, thank you.
here's what I've done, here's what I need,
And I'm not worried about you, I'm worried about who you sell it to in the future that's gonna wanna make it a multifamily. And if you have two driveways and separate, it's just, that's where my concern comes from, not
Yeah.
from you guys, you know, just
Okay.
that's why I'm asking the question.
Not everybody's intentions are as pure as yours, and we've seen that
Okay.
maybe in the past.
Just a few times.
Conditions were the same.
So that makes sense. So,
Good point.
Right.
yeah, when you guys go to do the driveway, try to make it look like a single family with an apartment as opposed to a duplex of sorts. Is that a condition? Can I tap the condition?
Can we condition that?
Condition,
Want to draft it up? It's got to be built to the plan submitted. So
Well, I don't wanna hold them to something.
No, I
Well,
mean,
there is no
We can't
plan.
condition them to have just one driveway, we can't say one driveway only,
yeah.
as opposed to a
if
separate
this is the
driveway.
front of the house and
Some
this is the
conditions that
driveway.
weren't
I don't
in
think
the
we can tell
plans.
them where they can put it, but I'm just saying,
No, I understand, but I guess my question to you is, if I have a driveway here and then I make a circle, is that one or two driveways?
that's one. If there's one here and one here, that's two.
Okay, I
Well, yeah, it's still two curb cuts, so,
right.
um,
Either way, it's gonna take a second curb cut. I don't think that's for us to decide. I think the highway department issues that permit. Technically,
well, we need to grant a permit that we think is not detrimental to the,
I agree. My point is, if you have a driveway that can fit two cars now, and he's saying, I'm gonna create a walkway that's gonna go all the way to the house, then in the worst case scenario, that's their driveway. If she,
right, yeah, well, we can grant a permit with the way it is right now.
I'm not saying that's what we need to do. What I'm saying is, I don't know if we have the jurisdiction to say we need to put a round driveway in that's connected to the prior driveway. Town council?
I think you
We've done that.
can,
We've
you can
conditioned the
say-
driveway.
yeah,
And a lot of it has to do with
absolutely.
parking too. If you have a
Right.
two-family, for example, we worried about this because you have too big of a driveway. Now it can hold too many cars and that
Correct.
kind of, you know what happens down the road then is you kinda
Condition
over-
one a long time,
Do their plans have to indicate that though? Don't we have to just?
describe it
As
or
submitted?
write it in there. Reiterate, I apologize because I was looking at something else. I missed half of Paul's question, but the existing driveway is on
Right
Right
right side as
side.
we're
Where it
looking
says
at that.
gas meter.
It's right here.
It's a straight in.
Right, and is the plan to put a walkway, how do you get from there to the entrance, which is
There's
around the
a
back?
walkway from here up to this,
Okay,
the main entrance, the front door of the existing.
uh-huh,
So we're figuring we can just continue it over
to the back, the rear stairs that come up the
Yeah.
back. So that's your
to the
plan.
left side.
Right, but Colleen had
That's just
mentioned,
not practical.
Colleen had mentioned that there may be a desire, you know, they want a short distance
Get
to go
closer
to their
the
apartment,
second entrance.
that they put a second driveway or or an additional go-round to their current driveway. So instead of making it look like it's a duplex, Paul suggested doing a loop, and at least they could pull in on that side of the loop and have a shorter walk.
I think Peter would have a problem with two driveways as opposed to just a.
Oh, he'll give a,
That's
not on
fine.
that road, he's not gonna have a problem with a curb cut there.
Yeah,
No,
it
he
was
won't
on
have a
North
problem with
Street
it,
or
it's just
something.
how do we,
I
How do
think
we-
if we have two separate driveways leading up to two sides of a house, it looks like a duplex.
Correct.
right,
I think you need to go with the loop and
I'll
maybe.
restrict it to a single drive and
And you could
Ah,
configure
then
that
they
can be a
figure it
loop,
out.
it's a loop. If it's not, then you get one. And if you can connect it,
yep.
that's fine. I agree with Gina. Two separate driveways tends to look like a two-family. And so I think you understand kind of what we're getting at, if you can connect it somehow, or maybe even a T or an L perhaps without the curb cut, I don't know.
That's great, a T would,
That
yeah.
still is be single drive. Doesn't mean
Mhm.
you can't change it, it just means you can't have two individual.
Your best bet may be able to go off the current driveway and just loop back out to the street.
I don't know. I mean, we can condition it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes
As
sense.
long as we say it's restricted to a single driveway, that would.
Right.
make it-
Premises to be restricted to a single driveway. And then that's, I think, it's obvious what. I don't
Return
know.
of the
I feel, yeah,
I
the
don't wanna,
way,
I don't wanna
however
gild
they
the
wanna
lily
do
on
it
something
is
and then say,
fine.
well, we want it a little different. Well, that of course makes sense too, but I don't
Had to think of something.
know.
No, I'm just kidding, no, it needs, It's a reality, and you wouldn't want to. What happens to this board is we review projects after we've granted permission to do certain things, or not permission, but you know we've accepted a permit or an application,
Approved, yep.
approved it, and 3 years later it's not what we thought was best for the town or for the neighborhood. So let it be noted that try to get driveway to your in-laws and do it in a tasteful manner. I mean, that's
Right.
is that enough said? We don't really mean. You can't say only one driveway, because it's actually, if it's a loop, is that two? And
That was my question. Is a
Well,
U-shaped
yeah,
driveway part
exactly.
of the initial?
Not limiting the
Still
curb cuts,
one?
we're limiting the number of drives. If it's all kind of connected, it,
Yeah.
But it is part of the one.
or as
As long
opposed
as
to
it's
two
attached.
separate drives.
Attached. So
Yes.
if you drive in your current driveway and
Yep.
veer left and
Okay.
it circles around,
That does a nice job of,
That's one
keeping
driveway.
it nice and appropriate to the neighborhood, I think. Keeping it to one driveway, if it's a
Owing to
loop
me.
or whatever.
Yep.
Win-win.
say if additional curb cut is made, it should connect to the existing driveway.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
Put that in there if you want. Well, he's doing that. One other question similar to the one I had before on the left side view. I don't know, on the first floor. I wasn't sure what that was.
That's an air conditioning unit to be relocated.
Oh, that's the AC unit. Okay, my bad. I didn't know if that was cellar access or something like that. Okay, got it.
To be
Yeah, I
relocated.
should have noticed that on there. Okay. Anything else from the board? Is there anybody in the audience need this? There isn't anybody here for that. You're gonna keep your mouth shut over there, I know, Mr. Captain. So if anyone wants to make a motion at this point, I
Sure.
think we're ready to hear
Unless
that,
there's more
Sean.
board discussion.
Anything else? Anybody wants to add?
Get them.
Nope.
You have it.
Yep, we got it. Yep.
Okay, I'd like to move that the board finds that the applicant, application has met zoning bylaws, chapter 165-79 A through D, and one, that the application is desirable to the public convenience and welfare. Two, it will not overload any public water or other municipal services so as to unduly subject any area to hazards affecting health, safety, or the general welfare. Three, it will not impair the integrity or character of the district or adjoining districts. And four, it will not cause an excess to that particular use, which could be detrimental to the character of the neighborhood. And further move for 20 Amberg Street that we grant the special permit to Colleen White of 20 Amberg Street, Georgetown, Mass. For the special permit to construct an accessory apartment addition to the single-family dwelling of the property that's located at 20 Amberg Street in the RB District and identified on Assessor's Map 8, Lot 118 pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9, and the Georgetown zoning bylaws, Chapter 165, Sections 9, 69, 74-79. The accessory apartment addition shall be 561 square feet with the following conditions attached thereto. One, the accessory apartment shall be occupied by relatives of the owner only, not to be used as a rental property, and the primary dwelling must be owner occupied per bylaw chapter 165, section 69, subsection B. Two, if the house is sold, transferred, or if there are any changes in the residence of the owner, the special permit lapses and the new owner must apply to the board for a new special permit. Three, the apartment shall be inspected by the building inspector before occupancy per chapter 165-69, subsection D, per plan submitted marked as exhibits 1 through 12. And four, be built per plan submitted at the hearing marked as exhibits 1 through 12. And five, that the premises shall be restricted to a single driveway, and if any additional curb cuts are made, it shall be connected to that single driveway.
second.
Thanks, Dave. All right, any discussion on that? Do you guys have any questions about that at this point? Okay. Why don't we just go ahead and take a roll call? So Gina,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes?
Sean?
Aye.
And the chairman votes yes, so your special permit is granted.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Read for you.
It's the bottom of the motion page, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, Sean has it.
Oh, Sean
The
has it.
zoning clerk
Okay.
has 14
Yeah.
days to file a decision. Any appeal of this decision shall be made pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 17, within 20 days after the date the notice of the decision was filed with the town clerk. An applicant may file this decision before the 20 days, but does so at their own risk. Lapse of special permit per Mass General Laws 48, Section 9, special permits granted shall lapse within a specified period of time, not more than 3 years, which shall not include such time required to pursue or await the determination of an appeal referred to in Section 17. if a substantial use thereof is not sooner commenced except for good cause, or in the case of a permit construction, if construction has not begun by such date except for good cause. Do you want to explain that in all layman's terms? I hate the way
I'll
it's
just,
worded.
so we have 14 days.
I'm an attorney too.
14 days from tomorrow
I don't like it either.
to write the decision on the board. I'll draft it. Jeff will approve it. The board will sign it. Once they sign it, I get it stamped by the town clerk, and I will let you know, and I will give you a set of registry instructions. So there's from the 14 day, from the stamp of the town clerk, after the 14 days, she'll stamp it, before the 14 days, sorry. Then that's when the 20-day appeal clock starts. So anybody, neighbors or anybody
Okay.
can appeal that. They would go to the town clerk and appeal it.
The decision that was made here tonight
Right.
would not be, you guys wouldn't change
No.
your mind
No,
in
no.
14
No.
days.
If
That's if a
someone
neighbor
else
had a problem.
had a problem and wanted to appeal it.
Okay.
They'd have a 20-day period after that 14 day, after the date, the time stamp. I usually do it, I'm gonna try and do this tomorrow,
Okay.
and I'll just let you know, and, I'll give you the registry
Okay.
instructions, and then with those instructions, you go to the town clerk, make sure no one appealed it.
Okay.
And then you file it with the Southern Essex Registry of Deeds. I'll explain.
That makes much more sense.
It generally will get filed by probably the end of the week, I would imagine, is it?
Well, I need you guys to sign it
Right, so
probably
we have
over
to
the
get
weekend.
signatures of everybody,
probably
so it might be
Tu-
Monday.
Probably Monday.
Usually
Tuesday.
inside of the 14 days. That starts the 20-day
As long as
clock.
anybody
Sign a decision.
gets
Yeah.
to sign
Yeah.
it.
Yes, all right.
That's okay.
And,
Okay, anything else? So that hearing is closed.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry.
okay.
So,
Just need a second.
I can go?
Right.
I might need to make a formal exit.
Where's your parents? Want to go by the house? They're still there?
It's open hearing, I think you can.
Please say hi.
Oh,
Look at all the connections.
Oh, that was a mistake. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I got past
I
right
don't
now.
remember what it was for, but I remember like I spent hours on it.
Well, please say hello for us. I will. Yeah, still in the same house? Yeah.
Can't read my own writing.
No, no,
Connected
on,
to that
F
single
Lab, right by the Emerson Park. Okay, yeah, okay. Hang in there.
So we're back on, and I'd like to, it's around 8:15, I'd like to reopen the hearing
From the board of town council.
for 34 East Main Street.
This was sent about
So
3
Shauna's
weeks
here again,
ago.
welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Regular member.
I'm a regular.
These-
I'm a
I
regular.
just looked at it now because the board's
Um,
asking about what the timing
You
is.
know all the members here, and of course we have John Eichman, who is town council here tonight, filling in for Amy, who is out of
It's
town.
on the Mello case, not on this case.
So I introduced
So-
myself to him earlier.
So where we left off last is we had pretty much wrapped up most of the testimony for the hearing. There was a couple of outstanding items. We had Larry Graham, who followed up with a letter for us that indicated that we had some technical issues we were working for, and he had indicated that he received correspondence back from your engineer saying that everything that we discussed would be incorporated into the final set of plans, which we don't have yet, but that will be released and finalized before you receive your building permit.
Correct.
Which is, does that all sound correct to you
Yes.
as far as we know? So that correspondence, which you might as well, go ahead, I will read this into the record or have Sean do it. Sean's doing all the reading tonight.
That's
wouldn't
the
mind
June
reading.
22nd.
That is the
There's a
June
packet.
6th.
June 6th.
Packet, there's,
Letter dated June 6, 2018, from Graham Associates, Inc. to the Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals regarding 34 East Main Street. Dear Board, we have received and reviewed revised 5/16/2018 plans, a revised 5/19/2018 stormwater report, and 2 letters dated 5/22/2018, all from William and Spargus Engineers for the applicant for the above reference project. We also attended last evening's Zoning Board of Appeals meeting and participated in the discussion of the project with the board and the applicant's attorney and engineer. Rob Hoover, Planning Board Chairman, was also in attendance at the meeting and spoke on behalf of the Planning Board. The intent of this letter is to attempt to summarize as follows the remaining required plans revisions discussed at last evening's meeting. 1. Lighting of the walkway along the easterly side of the property is required. Either path or bollard type lights are acceptable, wall-mounted lights are not acceptable. 2. The luminaries located along the left side of the access drive just prior to the beginning of the parking spaces should be pushed back northwesterly enough so as to provide a 0.1 foot candle intensity near but not over the westerly property line. 3. The existing maple trees along the front of the property should be removed and replaced with an elm to match the other elm being placed in the tree lawn by the applicant. 4. The plans should include a note specifying 6 inches of loam and seed over the site with 12 inches of loam and seed over the infiltration area located in the northeasterly corner of the site. 5. It was recommended that the company providing the vinyl fence also provide a detail of their parenthetical heavy-duty vinyl gate for the dumpster enclosure versus the steel plate and tube detail now shown on the plans. 6. The plans should be revised to show 2 structural bollards, no lights, in place of those now shown on each side of the dumpster enclosure. Lighting of the dumpster enclosure should be provided by luminaries not subject to contact by trash trucks or the dumpsters themselves. Lighting trespass over the property line in this area should be minimized. 7. The proposed precast concrete block retaining wall shall be capped full length. The detail of the plans should reflect the wall cap versus the mulch landscaping, stone or grass. Note as now shown, it was agreed at the meeting that Williams and Sparges and or the applicant's attorneys will respond in writing to this summary, adding to it any other anticipated plan revisions they intend to make. The response is to be provided by or before June 18th. It's also agreed that the revision plans themselves do not need to be provided to the board until after the board has rendered a decision. As always, should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Very truly yours, H.L. Graham.
Great. So then we have a letter dated June 18th from William Spargus. In response to that letter, I'll go ahead and read this to the Zoning Board of Appeals, subject Dunbar Tavern, 34 East Main Street. Dear members, the purpose of this letter is to respond to meeting comments memorialized in the June 6, 2018 letter from Graham Associates. Our response numbers correspond to the numbers in the Graham Associates letter and reflect the actions taken by the applicant. Path lights will, number 1, path lights will be provided to light the walkway on the easterly side of the building. Number 2, the luminaires located along the left side of the access drive will be adjusted to provide a 0.1 foot candle intensity near, but not over the westerly property line. The existing maple tree along the front of the property will be removed and replaced with an elm tree, matching with an elm tree. It says treat on there. Elm tree, matching the species of the other elm tree as proposed. Number 4, the plans will be revised to specify 6-inch loam and seed over the site and 12-inch loam and seed over the infiltration area located in the northwesterly corner of the site. Number 5, a note requiring the fence company to submit the gate and hardware will be added to the plans. Number 6, the lights shown on the bollards at the trash enclosure will be removed and the lighting will be provided by luminaires not subject to contact by trash trucks or the dumpsters. Light trespass in this location is to be minimized. And number 7, a cap will be provided along the length of the segmental block retaining wall. This cap will replace the mulch, landscape, stone, or grass as specified on the prior plan. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have regarding the above responses. Very truly yours, Rich Williams of Sprogis. We got one more. We're getting there.
Letter dated,
June
dated June
22nd.
22nd, 2018 from Graham Associates. To our chairman, Jeff Moore, relative to 34 East Main Street. Dear Board, I'm in receipt of a letter dated June 18th, 2018 from Richard Williams of Williams and Sprogis, engineers for the above referenced application. The letter accurately echoes the points made in my letter to the Board of June 6, 2018. A few comments are warranted. The letter states in part, quote, actions to be taken by the applicant. To be clear, the 7 points of both letters indicates plan revisions which are to be made on the final iteration of plans to be submitted after the board renders its decision. Also importantly, at point number 7, the wall cap is to be specified for the total length of the wall proposed on the plans. As requested, I will not plan on attending the July 10th ZBA meeting unless otherwise informed. If you have any questions, please contact me. Very truly yours, H.L. Graham.
Great. Thank you. So those are the technical issues and where they stand to this point. There's also a letter from the fire department dated June 14th, 2018 to the Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals regarding the Allen Olson 34 East Main Street project. Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals. The fire department has reviewed the updated traffic pattern and has no concerns with the access to the building. The traffic pattern shows two-way traffic at the entrance exit on East Main Street and parking on the property. The proposed building renovation must meet all existing MGL 527 CMR and NFPA fire codes pertaining to the property's proposed use. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you, Chief Fred A. Mitchell of the Georgetown Fire Department. Okay, so you have that. That's why there was some discussion last time about the with the fire department. Other correspondence. Do you have any comments on any of that at this point? We also, as far as the technical issues go, I think we're there, unless you guys are all set with that. I know we've been working on the decision. We did receive an email from Sharon Freeman, who's the alternate member and is not here tonight. And given the fact that she is an alternate member on this case, non-voting member, but she has been on this board quite a long time, so I think I'm going to grant her the opportunity to read her email into the record, so at least it's
I never
it's
got
in the record.
Oh, just got it.
We just got it
Oh, okay.
yesterday.
I can send you.
No, that's fine.
And I think I'm gonna hold her first two comments. She sent this to
Send it.
Patty and I. She has two questions about the decision, which are sort of technical in nature. I'm gonna skip over those and come back to those in a minute.
Sent those this afternoon.
Sent one, there was,
of the
well, I'll
15.
go ahead and read it. Thanks for sending the draft version number 3 of the 40B decision. My recollection, excuse me, this is dated Monday, July 9th. My recollection is that town council indicated I could send feedback even if I'm not able to attend the hearing. As such, use track changes. Item number 4 under findings. I'm not clear what the 15 additional parking spaces along East Main Street is referring to, and I don't recall discussion about that. I think she's correct on that. Patty forwarded it to you, and I think somebody may have made note that there may be an error in there. I don't think you're creating 15 new parking spaces
I
along
am
East
not.
Main Street.
We're actually taking a spot, if, it says along,
I think it's a typo or
So
I think we just need to take it out.
yeah.
yeah.
The whole sentence.
Okay, and was that one of your questions as well?
Well,
You-
I noticed it, but I was like,
Yeah, okay, we'll get to.
I
we'll get
called
that.
her and told her.
Let me stay on track with her correspondence,
go
because I
ahead.
don't wanna get off there. At the last meeting, the board stated that among the reasons that this proposal was being considered for the multiple waivers requested was that it would be the restoration and renovation of a historical property. However, I don't see this specifically stated as a condition in the draft decision. While I realize there is a statement speaking to as-built plans, that doesn't necessarily require that it be of the actual historic building on the property. If historic restoration and renovation is one of the primary reasons for waiving the requirements, I'd suggest it to be an explicit condition. Otherwise, this may become a complete or near complete demolition of the current structure and still meet the as-built conditions. I'm gonna hold comment on that if we have some for the moment, so I can just continue and wrap that up. All that said, I am not supportive of this comprehensive permit request. My objections are primarily based on the following: 165.8 intensity of use schedule, minimum lot requirements for multiple family units or apartments, lot sizes, sections 155.32B and section 155.32D. I do not feel that sufficient case has been made to this point to warrant these waivers, certainly not in the magnitude that is being requested. In and of itself, a 300% increase in what is allowed for the size parcel is an excessive proposed usage, which is compounded by an area of town that is considered by many to be extremely congested. Furthermore, Georgetown has already met the statutory minimum affordable housing. I do not find the proposed development sufficiently compelling to permit the number of and type of waivers required to permit the construction of 8 condominiums, 2 of which will be affordable. I believe the permitting this comprehensive permit would be a detriment to the neighborhood and would result in excessive use of the public resources. I don't know if my opinions can be included in the record since I'm not going to be present, but if they can, I would appreciate it. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, so that's a review, and as she is a member and a longstanding one, I felt it at least worthy and she deserves the respect to at least have her opinion read here for the record. Going back to the historic renovation piece, one of the conditions would be that this is obviously built per the plans attached, and your plans clearly indicate that the front historic building is gonna be retained, right? And there's some, in fact, I believe the state permit also required, I don't have it in front of me, but the DHCD application even specified the replacement of certain types of windows that would meet, you wanna elaborate on that a little bit, just take, I mean, just to verify that it is a requirement that the front structure is not coming down.
Well, we already submitted all the plans. We're not applying for a demolition permit. We're not demoing,
The barn is
The barn-
is getting raised, but not.
but not the front or any other portion thereof.
Call it a barn, I don't know,
Barn,
rear structure,
but it's a renovation.
right? And that's
And
clearly delineated not only in your plans, but also in the
Application,
DHCD
everywhere.
application from the very
Correct.
beginning. And they even required, as I recall during the site walk, that certain types of historic windows be maintained and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
it's pretty clear that that is.
Correct. It has always been a renovation. Not I'm trying to find the DHCD letter. But yes, it's a renovation.
It does, I remember.
It has to comply with the plans that we've already submitted. We have to do as-built and everything, so there's no way this is going to, be a.
So I don't know if anybody else has other comments on. On that
I'm
piece of
in
this.
your camp on that one. I recall them being pretty specific about
I'm just
leaving
trying-
certain historic components of the home in place, or at least, I remember the window thing because I remember reading it.
Well, the plans clearly indicate that that building is being renovated, not.
Correct. It's not being torn down.
Part of the plans.
I think that's been the discussion all along.
Didn't the historical society come in and bless it too?
We do have a letter from the historical
Yeah.
Yeah,
society.
that was done over
Right.
And to sort of
They did the state visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we're not making a decision at this point yet, obviously, but we're pretty close to really getting all of the testimony at this point, feedback, so to touch on some of our other comments, we did get a letter of support from the Historical Commission, we got a letter of support from the selectmen, who
Affordable
actually
housing.
and the affordable housing, but also the selectmen, because they had to sponsor the project through the DHCD process. We have a letter of support from Affordable Housing Trust, obviously, because they're very anxious to get more units in. We have the letter of support from the planning board at this point as well, not just for the design of the site, but for the project and use overall. Sharon is absolutely right. We have every determination, we have the authority to make whatever determination we like. And she is absolutely entitled to whatever opinion she deems relevant at this point. So, that, for what it was, I did want to get it into the record. And she's not here to,
Nope, that's fine.
you know, further defend herself or explain, but we can certainly touch on it.
I guess my only point of conversation relative to any of her comments, I'm not sure I'd agree with her opinion on the affordable component, because again, as I noted last time, we have a census coming up in 2020. We have not taken into account the new building that's going on in town. We're not taking into account the 5 that don't have an affordable component at the end of Bailey Lane. And at some point, even if we're at 10.8 or 11.5, you start to factor in that the town has grown by X. You need to meet that affordable component when that census is done. That's why it's important to always be open to the affordable housing component. I'm not saying add 40 new, affordable homes, but you want to be over. You don't want to be in a situation where you're less.
Particularly where I have a local initiative project, which this was initiated in conjunction between
Correct.
the applicant, the applicant, and the Board of Selectmen, which is the executive
Yes.
sponsoring authority.
There are towns that have to apply for safe harbor because they don't plan well, or have got caught in a situation where, they made their affordable but knew they needed some time to plan ahead. I'm familiar with that from my dealings of what I do. It's not a situation you particularly want to be in, but it happens. So always having a little fluff in there is kind of a big deal, in my opinion. I mean, town council could speak more to the penalties that come with that, but
No, clearly, you have full discretion with this application now because you've met your 10%. If you didn't meet your 10%, you wouldn't.
right.
It's pretty much that simple, so.
And we specifically reserved our rights at the beginning
Yes,
to have
you
that,
did.
leeway. I think at this point, there's not gonna be a lot more evidence taken unless you have anything new to share other than the decision. We're to move on. So I'm gonna consider that we're in board discussion at this point.
Yep.
I want to take a vote to close the public hearing, just so you have it on the record, since that
Yeah.
changes dates,
That-
unless
that-
that's.
That's what I'd like to do. We're talking about this offline as far as what our options are. We can close the hearing at this point and not take any further testimony. And that gives us 40 days to finalize the decision and then vote and take action on that decision. I'm gonna just jump the gun and say, I don't think we're ready tonight with a decision. We may be, we can talk about it and see where we are. We have not all had the opportunity yet to review a final draft, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And see how far we can get tonight, and if not, we would still have our next meeting on July 31st, well within the 40 days to actually make that final decision, and then we're done. As we move into September and October, we have other things on our plate as well, so I think it'd be nice in everybody's interest to move this along if we could, right, Sean? I think will agree with me. I'm gonna go ahead and speak for her on that one. So I'd like to entertain a motion to close the hearing at this point, if anybody feels so inclined to do that. And then we'll move on to discussion of the decision.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Dave?
Yep.
All right, is there board discussion on that? Do you guys have questions about what it is,
Wait a minute, what?
Okay.
So can we, really quick, can we just finalize it offline, and the 31st is basically, not speaking for a formality, like we
Right,
read the
so
decision?
if we close the hearing tonight, we have a 40-day deadline to make a decision on this application. We come back, the idea being there could be further offline discussion as needed. If needed, we would get a copy of a decision that we could review independently. If there are other questions we could raise through Patty and town council if needed between now and then, if there's some technical questions that we want to have answered ahead of time. Otherwise, we would meet back here on the 31st and make the decision. If we're ready to move on it tonight, we can. But at this point,
I guess I was just confused. I thought that's what we were doing tonight.
if we can do that, we can.
No,
do
I
it.
don't.
I agree. I don't know how, I was thinking we might have a final version in hand that we could vote on. So
That's
if
what I
we
thought.
think we're close enough, but we have that.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is what I don't wanna really do is kinda get to the point where we get everything tied up if this continues to July 1st, and then have somebody that shows up and wants to have a whole bunch of more input on,
No, I'd like
on
to
the,
close it.
on the project.
Right.
Close it.
Because we're gonna be
The
dotting i's
motion
and
was
crossing
made, I
t's.
second.
That's what it is,
For the
okay?
record.
Just a quick on Dave, because Dave seconded, because Sharon in the beginning was named to vote on this, but because she's not here, Dave's in her place, and now it's closed, so he can make that second, because he's now part of the 5.
He can, if there's any question on it. Did Paul also
And
second
be-
that? I see.
Sure, second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Paul actually, it was sort of a tie, so why don't we just
Okay.
make it Paul?
But I've been-
But
Haven't I been-
he's,
You've been here for every year.
he's been here for everyone,
Right, I've been
right,
voting
I just
on both this one and the other
wanna
large
make sure I didn't,
scenario,
okay.
Yeah, Sharon was initially indicated
not
as
to be
the
named.
voting alternate for,
Thank you.
for this hearing, so that is great. Okay, so is any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the hearing is now closed.
Hearing's closed, but do we vote on the?
So we're gonna talk about the decisions.
Now
Now
we
we have
talk about
40
the
days,
decision.
starting right now.
I
And we have till 10 o'clock or,
cannot imagine.
or next July 31st.
I mean,
So, well,
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
can I ask you, John, to kind of,
What?
with Sean himself, where are we on the decision?
what's
that
the
we-
worst case scenario?
Hang on.
Have you guys
What could
reviewed this?
possibly go wrong?
There's been some drafts that have
Okay,
gone back and
right.
forth. There's a few open issues. I don't know where everybody is with reviewing the versions that have gone back and forth. Is it possible to give us a 60-second overview? We haven't seen a decision of this magnitude before, or one that encompasses quite as much technical nuance as this one. Is a 60 or 90-second overview of what this decision encompasses and what it does possible, without reading it verbatim? I know, well, I mean, he's here, so. You gotta put him to work.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean we need to read it, but it is broken down into several things. I don't know if you can summarize it in a nutshell.
Yeah,
And really what we wanna get is what elements are still outstanding with them. So, we can maybe talk about those. 'cause
The
I know
answer to your-
Sean's got some questions.
The answer to your first question is, no, 60, 90 seconds, you're not gonna get a summary of the decision. But addressing a couple things that are important to a 40B decision is the applicant has asked for waivers from local bylaws and regulations. Bylaws specifically here, those waivers have to be listed. We recommend that you take a vote on every one of those waivers. That's the way this decision is laid out. Each one of those waiver requests is a separate line item. There's a motion and a vote on each one. As you know, this is a 40B application. Therefore, you are basically making a decision on all local permits. And so all those waiver requests for each one of those local permits is in here. I saw there's a lot of zoning bylaw requests. There are some general bylaw requests. There's a stormwater waiver request. And again, they're all itemized in here, so you can see those. Other than that, this doesn't differ much in form from a standard special permit decision. It has a greater amount of detail, clearly, but that really, I think it's more, it doesn't really have anything to do with the process, it just has to do with the way the plans have been presented, the way the decision's been drafted. It just got into that kind of detail. There's an affordable component to a comprehensive permit project. 2 units of the 8 are gonna be affordable. That's obviously a requirement to get a comprehensive permit, that a certain number of units be designated affordable. That's been the amount that's been agreed on to this point. There's no need to change that, I don't see. But, I think that's pretty much it. I did notice.
90 seconds. See, that was actually 75 seconds. That's perfect.
I-
That's exactly what I wanted. No, I appreciate it.
I mean, I noticed in reviewing it,
And
there
very
are
helpful.
some minor things in here. There's some typos. I would probably like to see a reference to the final plans in here, that the final plans were made in reliance on this last 3 letters of comments you got from the engineers. There's an understanding, it's in the record, it's not in the decision
So
at this point.
the final, and I noticed in that, so there's been changes, I think, to what you have now, that's version 3. But the final plans are, listed in there. But then what we did, instead of, at the last meeting, instead of having her do a whole new set of plans, the documents that you have tonight from Larry Graham and then from Shauna, and then Larry looked at them, reference what needs to be added to the plans.
No, I understand, but
okay.
she didn't reference those letters in
They're
the
not,
decision.
that's not in the decision,
Right.
okay.
Because right now you're referencing plans that, according to those letters, are going to be slightly amended.
Right, okay.
So you just want to make reference to that in here in some fashion.
So
I thought we have all Larry Graham's letters.
and I sent her a couple more dates.
So all Larry Graham's letters are referenced in here.
And where's that?
Page 28, is it? Oh,
Did I take your copy?
the peer review. I sent her the ones I had for the peer review.
I didn't
Page
see
10.
that. 10?
Oh, no, that's just the plan.
No, yeah.
I know we had
Oh,
Larry
no, it's
Graham.
not.
I know we told her all the Larry Graham dates.
Yeah, we sent her the dates, but I only got to page, so a certain page and I got busy.
Larry Graham, number 10, on page 5, number 10. Larry Graham provided reports
it
to the
is.
board and to the planning board dated 2/1/17, 4/3/18, 4/13/18, and 6/22/18.
Right, and I sent an email and added a couple of dates.
So it does reference.
Right.
So hold
Oh,
on.
I see that, but I think.
Okay, no, that's, I just,
Right. There's a reference here to the plan saying you're gonna build to those plans. Those plans have to be altered according to those letters. I think
Okay.
you just need to make that clear.
Okay.
I mean, I'm saying you, I just, obviously whoever is putting this final thing together.
So Patty, you sent an email saying add dates?
And what you're suggesting is that plan needs to be amended to reflect this decision.
Well, the
plan has
decision-
to be done, correct?
Right, exactly. The letters reflect that the changes are agreed upon.
Right.
That the consulting engineers agree on the changes, and they agree that changes are gonna be made. The decision says, we are approving this project as reflected in these plans.
These plans, right, yep,
Still
I
being
agree.
modified.
so these plans and,
As, basically, it's just as
Report.
modified pursuant to
As
the
modified.
letters. You have 6 and list the letters. I think it's that simple. You
Okay.
don't have to necessarily submit,
Oh.
plans to be attached to
right.
this. You just need to make the reference.
okay,
Because this is all predicated on getting those
plans.
and having them be what we had
Okay.
suggested they need to be.
Where does that change get made? I'm sorry, I lost.
So-
Well, that's,
is
yeah,
that-
that's kind of a
That's the
drafting thing.
question.
It's, I mean, I'm looking at table 2. I don't know. I suppose we
on
could.
page 10.
It is on page 10, yes. I'm just looking at the, I would suggest maybe on page 9, A2, where it talks about the development shall be constructed substantially conform with the following documents and plans. Either, a sentence made at the end of that paragraph indicating that there be a reference to those letters of or June, whatever they are, through the 22nd, or somewhere at the end of table 2, either place. But in that section, I think, is where you want it.
Reference the letters outlined in
Yeah,
paragraph
I
10.
don't have a copy of the letters, I don't think, unless, maybe,
we've
you
got a
know,
couple of them.
that's right, Patty just gave them to me, yeah.
Well, they're referenced in paragraph 10. Is that right?
The
So
ones
it's
that you-
June 6th, right, June
That's section 10.
18th and June 22nd.
so, Patty, what dates are missing? On number 10? Do you know what dates are missing
On which one?
that I need to add for Larry Graham?
I emailed them to Amy.
I know, but Amy hasn't made the changes, so I don't know. I'm just asking you because I didn't get it so that someone can make the changes.
Which dates are these?
Hold on.
Which paragraph are you looking
The
at?
additional Larry Graham dates.
Well, the ones that we just read into the record, I think
Talking
are
about
listed there.
on page 5,
So
paragraph 10?
622 is,
Paragraph
but there
10,
was
page 5.
6-8 was not, 6-6?
6, that's right.
Yes.
And then
6, 6, 6, 18.
18.
And 6:4, no, sorry, that was fire chief.
No, 622 is in.
622.
Right,
So-
so it's 618.
So it's just 618 that needs to be added.
So 622 is the typo, I think. There was no 622.
There was a 622.
From Larry?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize.
So we just have to add 66.
6-6, and actually there's a response on June 18th.
No, that's for Williams and Spragus.
You're right. So
That
you-
doesn't
yeah, that
get
wouldn't
added
follow
there.
in the reference, right. That's fine.
So 622 becomes, or no, you get added 6.
You just add 66.
6, okay. Then in your references, you're suggesting page 10, 9,
Page
I
9, the
guess.
development shall be constructed in substantial conformance with the following documents and plans of record as listed in table 2 and
Referenced in page 5, paragraph 10.
Right at the end of that, as those plans are to be amended in accordance with, and that would be then the reference to those, to the, you wanna just reference those letters, to the letters.
Just reference page.
Graham
page
Associate
5.
letters of June 6, 2018, and June 22nd,
second.
2018. Yeah. Yep, it's a good place for it.
Okay. We add that.
No, my thought is there's a lot of motions that need to be made and votes to be taken. Why couldn't we tonight start going through the waivers that need to be granted and we could actually make those votes? Can we do that piecemeal and start making the
Absolutely.
votes on those waivers? And there may be some where we need to hold, possibly, because either the verbiage is not correct or we need to make a change somewhere in the document, but like, you know.
Before we
per-
even
per
get
plan.
there, I have one other question.
Sure.
So there are some things that need to be fixed. And I guess there, like I sent emails asking that these, things need to be changed. Patty said, who's making the changes? How are we gonna get it so that it gets done? Because I think that's what was holding it up this time. So do you want me to make the changes? I'll make the changes. I don't care. I just wanna make sure that we have direction
Well,
on who's gonna make these changes.
So how
we
many
get
do you
them.
have?
I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, why don't we go through them?
That's it.
Let's
That's all I
discuss
have.
them and see where we are, and if we can address them, we can. If not, we'll save it for later.
So,
And
that's
then
fine.
my feeling is we have a lot of work to do as far as making all these motions, and maybe a lot of those can be done tonight, and
That's
maybe
great.
the decision can be done tonight. I don't
Okay.
know, but,
Maybe you gotta get through the motions before you can make the
Right.
decision. I agree.
and maybe we don't get through all of them, but we can get through 90% of them, maybe,
That would be great.
so.
So my
Go ahead.
changes are
Yeah.
really easy. Page 4, number 4, its previous use was not a tavern previously. I mean, way long ago, but most recently it was a single-family home with a store in the barn. So I was just gonna take out tavern and put single-family home with a store in the barn.
Wouldn't that conduct mixed use?
It was mixed use.
So I would suggest we do previous use was a mixed use property consisting of.
Okay,
Yeah, that sounds. Did you get that?
sounds perfect.
Yeah, Patty's taking notes, right?
Mixed use property
Consisting of a single-family dwelling
With a store in the barn, right?
and a
and
store.
would that be considered retail?
Yeah, I don't know if we wanna,
At home business?
If we, I mean, I don't think we need, it
No,
doesn't
just
matter.
say a store, okay.
So
I just asked.
You know what I
Say
mean?
mixed use.
We haven't talked too much about the historical
Yep.
use, and we never
Store.
made that finding in the hearing necessarily.
No,
That
I just, it
really
was, I
matters,
just
but
know it wasn't a tavern.
I think we talked about what it was, and then we never said,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, you know, then the building inspector never said, we found that this is, that would be a pre-existing non-conforming, perhaps, to that lot, we never went down that road, so.
Okay.
So then we just change applicant is proposing to replace the mixed use property with a single building. Instead of tavern there.
Oh, yeah.
Applicant is proposing to replace the tavern, so replace the mixed use property with a single building containing 8 units.
Yep. And then moving further in that paragraph, unless you have it, is the whole 15 parking
Correct.
space issue, so.
So I would just suggest to take out that whole sentence. The applicant also proposes 15 parking spaces along East Main Street.
Right. I think somehow she may have been referring to the 15 parking spaces that you're creating at the property.
Right.
Yeah.
Referenced twice, so that's just an error.
Then on page 6, the 165, 110, the parking requirement, sorry, it's page 7 now. I don't need a waiver for the parking spaces because I know we have 8 units and we're only gonna have 15 parking spaces, but 1-bedroom units only require 1 parking spot.
Mr. Chairman? if I
Yes,
may,
yes, thank you.
If you're going to go through the waivers, I suggest that you note that and go through these and note that when we get to this discussion. on
Okay,
this.
so we'll wait on that, that's fine. Page
That was number
16.
that was D, correct? No, wait, 16532D? No.
No,
that's
165, 110 parking requirement.
Sorry, there it is.
Page 16, number 12. I have to, the board,
Housing.
they might have changed the numbers here.
It's a typo.
It's just a typo.
It's the wrong registry of deeds.
It should
Essex.
be,
Says
Essex
Worcester.
Registry of Deeds. That's it.
It's Southern
Oh.
Essex Registry of Deeds. Is where we record Georgetown.
Why can't I not find that right now?
Here it is.
Right at
It's
12,
it's
first-
page 16,
third
number
line.
12, go up. Yeah,
Oh,
go
I was
down.
on page 13, no wonder why.
It's on 16.
Okay,
Number
perfect. So
12.
that was the,
So Southern Essex
yep, Southern
Registry
Essex.
of Deeds.
Then the other one was, did they add in the architectural? Did she do the architectural?
Page,
So, on page 10, the architectural plans and renderings, page 10. The original date of the first, second, and third floors was 11/7/17, and the proposed elevations original date was 11/7/17.
A3 and A4 were different dates, right?
One more time, Shauna. First, second, third floor date was what?
11/7/17, and the proposed elevations A4 was 11/7/17.
Patty, you indicated they were different.
Wait, no, there was,
Then they were
3/19.
last revised on 3/19.
right.
No,
so
but you
there's-
have to put the original date.
Oh, she wants the original. So they were 11, but all 4 are 11/7, and then those were revised
Yep.
3/19, okay.
So the missing information
I
is 11/7/17. Now, on page 7, it says, was it page 7 or did the pages change? With regard to the site plan approval. Where did that go? Did that move?
It's, I think, under general bylaws, chapter 57 is the first paragraph.
Right, no, but, hold on. There was a thing where it says here, they should change the pages on me.
Top
Table.
of page 10.
There
It
was
says
no
site plan approval issued by the Georgetown Planning Board blank.
Yeah, so it was never, that's where it is, page
Do
10.
that.
It was never we didn't get site plan approval.
No, and you're getting a waiver for it.
Right, so I don't know why that's in there.
I agree.
Planning board I sent an email with the 3 dates to Amy that the planning board did recommendations. There was 3 separate dates, and I think I copied you on that.
Mm-hmm, you did.
I just,
Well, where's the waiver for site plan approval? It should be in here.
it's,
Oh, there it is.
It's on
number
page
it's on the list, it's
7.
on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
correspondence.
It's right in here as well.
The 3
So
plans.
do we,
So what is this referring to then? This is referring
I don't know.
to documents.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the
that's-
list, table T1, which is, the development shall be constructed in substantial conformance with the following documents and plans of record. So, 1 is the application, 2 would be site plan approval, which you don't have. What you do have is recommendations.
Right, and is that referenced in the list of documents we received, or does it need to be?
Well, it may be referenced in the list of documents received. I guess the question for the board would be, to what extent you want to incorporate those recommendations
Yeah.
in this decision.
well,
I
we've
would think
already
that's
done
basically
all
part
the
of the test.
recommendations, right? I mean,
Wait,
all the.
no, they submitted everything, we had the result of all of that is the Larry Graham
Right,
site plan recommendations that we're referring to, so I think it's sort of a double, that's the result of all of that discussion and those recommendations.
so I,
know.
that was I think we've already
I would strike this
referenced
unless
them.
we need to,
Right, there's clearly not a site plan decision, or will there be one, so.
No, and all the recommendations are either on the plans or in Larry Graham's letters
We
already.
give them a waiver on page 7.
right,
I know.
exactly,
That's why I don't know why it's in there.
I would agree with that.
So we will vote, make a motion to.
Those are my only things.
Okay.
There, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
yeah,
there's one other place
absolutely.
where I noted there are a couple typos, which I can correct with Patty, but, on page 7,
Yeah, I agree with this one.
general bylaws of the town of Georgetown, these are the waivers of them, the general bylaws, the first one, chapter 57. This was an open question that I saw today. At the end of that first waiver, there's the phrase, "Do you still need this?" I think that's a question back to the applicant, and I don't know if that's been answered. This is the waiver from the erosion and stormwater control that require site plan review.
That's why I wanted to keep it in, I think.
Okay, so the answer to do you still need this is yes?
Yes.
Okay. So that sentence can come out.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, just the do you still need this there?
Right.
I'm trying to understand.
Because it requires site plan review.
That was on your
studies.
original list, right?
It was on the
The
original
one you
list.
don't need is
The parking.
No, the septic.
Oh, the
one.
septic,
And
correct.
that's not in here, right?
No,
I
it is
see
not.
All right.
We
So
added.
now,
Did you have more?
No, I had some minor typos, missing S's and things but I can check with
Okay.
Patty on that. And or you if you're gonna be the final.
No, I don't know who the final, I just want to make sure we leave here with knowing who's going to make.
No, those are the only, I mean, I had highlighted things.
Touch this, Amy's been, so I haven't.
is this one?
Yes, and I will refer to her as
So
well.
page 11 on 7, this is emphasizing no building permits will be issued until this condition is satisfied. Those are bolded for emphasis, not.
I believe so, yes. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure that all these things were not somebody's version of.
Yeah, because if
what I
not, she did it in yellow.
Right.
When they were issued.
Yeah.
Right.
that was
That's,
show.
those are the ones I was pointing
Yeah.
out.
Going back to parking then, I guess we can,
So do you want to go through the,
well, I'm just, this is all that's left as far as any
Right.
other technical issues with? So why would you want this in here,
what?
the parking? I'm going back to one.
No, I wanted it out. I said it needed to
She
be
wants it out.
removed. I said, I don't need that. Waiver.
Why not? Why wouldn't you not want that waiver in there? for your benefit.
She said she don't need it, not that she doesn't
Well,
want it.
yeah, but
I mean, I can
you're
leave
getting
it
a
in
waiver.
there.
You're getting a written waiver in the event that someone feels you might or disagrees with that.
Okay, I
you-
mean, we
you
can
get
leave-
it.
All right, I'll
'Cause
leave
you
it
don't,
in.
You don't meet this requirement, but you don't feel you need it
Well,
because.
Number of units, I don't think.
I have 8 units.
Right.
Okay, 6 of the 8 units are 1 bedrooms. In
Right.
Georgetown, 1 bedrooms only require 1 parking spot.
Oh, right, okay.
So
I thought you needed 16 and they gave one up.
that's what everyone was going on. And then I went back and I looked
There's
at
a
the
lot of
parking
discussion on
requirements.
getting rid of that one spot.
Yeah,
that everyone
and then I
thought you
looked at the
needed.
parking requirements and they're not needed. But I'll leave it in.
I would leave it in
That's
because
fine.
you have 15. No, excuse me.
Realistically speaking, I only need 10 parking spots. However, everyone was under
Realistically.
the
Realistically.
assumption that I needed 16. And I kind of fell for it, and then I went back and looked and I was like, no, I
But
don't.
you have how many in total?
15.
15. Why
But
does
we
this
can leave it
reference
in.
12? Why does this reference 12? Hang on.
Yeah, on the bottom, it says no
Wait,
more
wait,
than
wait, wait,
12.
2 parking spaces shall be
more than
provided for
12.
each
Guest parking. You can't have
reasonable
more than 12
proximity to the
guest
dwelling,
parking.
additional parking, proximity to any additional.
That's a reference to the actual.
Oh, this is the
bylaw
actual
itself.
bylaw.
That's
no
the
more than
actual
12
bylaw.
parking and
Yeah, in fact, it's just quoting the bylaw.
yeah, just take the waiver.
Okay. I'll take
I
it.
think unless
All
you.
right.
d-
No, I'll take it. I'll take
Somebody
it.
come back and say,
I'll
no,
take it.
you know, we disagree. You're
Got
gonna,
it.
I don't know what the.
That's
whoever- I mean, unless the
No.
board is not willing to provide it, which we'll get to that, I guess, in a few minutes. But not jumping ahead too far, but.
Okay.
Anything else? So
No,
my
I
thought
have
was,
nothing else.
you know, why don't we go through, we need to make a motion on, and vote on a number of waivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 waivers, right?
Yeah, it's more than that.
More.
Oh, these
More.
are in the
You have to keep
agenda,
going.
9,
On page
12, 13, 14, 15
Six.
waivers.
15.
We have to vote on the applicant's status. We have to vote on the fundable project. We need to make a vote on the site control by the applicant. We need to vote on I don't know, some of the proposed project being, oh, that's the actual decision. I'm looking at page 9.
Yeah, those are determinations though that is set up to require a separate vote. And you can just move those basically as stated, unless you want to change them.
And then there's the conditions that we were just talking about, right? Would we be able to move on the conditions as amended this evening?
If you,
Did we get the
yeah,
the details of
it's
that?
certainly up to the board. I
Yeah,
mean, if you
I
feel that
mean,
these are
I wanna make
complete-
sure town council is comfortable with the changes that we
Yeah,
suggested tonight.
absolutely,
And that there aren't any
yes.
other concerns that aren't addressed on our side. It sounds like the applicant is happy with the way things are written, basically.
No, I don't.
I don't have a
any-
choice.
Okay.
Well, we certainly want to, oh, well, we do need, we need to come up with some language for section 9, paragraph 2, unless that's already been done, referencing the,
What
did
page?
you already draft that?
What page are we
9,
talking
about- did you already draft that up? This one,
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
added
just
that.
did it.
We just did that.
okay.
Patty, do you have that additional language there at the bottom of 9
Properly reference the,
as those plans are
Yeah.
to be amended in
And
accordance
as
with
those
the
plans are to
Mhm.
be amended in accordance with
Graham letters of June 6th and June 22nd?
Reference letters 6/6 and 6/22.
Yeah, I would call them the Graham letters.
I did HO.
I'm not
Gram.
changing this though, right?
Well, I'm gonna ask the
getting
question.
confused.
I'm concerned because everyone's taking notes, and I want to
Yeah,
know who's
and
owning the revision
Amy
of the
is
document.
doing this, so I didn't touch it. I never touched it.
Right, but someone's gotta pass it along to Amy.
Well, I'm sitting here, so I certainly can do that.
Right.
I don't know if I mean, I think I have all the changes here that we've talked about. I'm certainly gonna also rely on anybody that's taking notes, Patty.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can, that's fine, we can prepare a final.
Why don't we consider this the draft unless there's too much other?
Because you made changes too, right?
No, we just
Well,
went
she
through
went
them.
through 'em.
Yeah, we went
We
through
just
the
went through
floor.
them.
We just did.
No, I think we
And-
can, and we can circulate this again based on what, I've got down here, I compare with Patty, we can circulate
If you,
with you.
right,
And so we can confirm that what we've said here is accurately represented.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't make tremendous changes here. I mean, even I took notes. Which is I mean, we changed number 4 on page 4, just take out tavern. Now it says mixed-use property, consisting of a single-family dwelling and a store in the barn. And then we changed tavern to mixed-use property. Removed the sentence that said the applicant also proposes 15 parking spaces along East Main Street.
I added the dates to the architectural plans on page 10.
Correct, which was
And-
6/6, right?
No. It was not, it was 11/7/17.
No, on page 5. The dates that Graham sent letters,
Oh, yeah, we added one date that Graham sent
which
the
was
letter.
6/6, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
We'll go back to page 5,
yeah,
where it says, reports to the planning board. 219 is missing. I sent that to Amy.
okay, so,
Diagrams,
so
that's a big,
2117.
it's a 10-page report. It's big.
right, so 2117,
Yep, 21918. And 6/6 is missing.
Okay.
We did those, right? I copied you on when I sent it, and I think I copied Jonathan.
yeah, okay, so we had those
Do
two
we have that
dates.
change? Nothing on page 6.
We erased the
Do you still need this?
highlighted, do you still need this?
Yes, we erased that.
Somewhere I need to.
On page 9, number 2,
Mm-hmm.
after table 2, after the period, goes a comma. As those plans are to be amended in accordance with the Graham letters dated 6/6 and 6/22. Then we removed on page 10, site plan approval issued by Georgetown Planning Board.
Mm-hmm.
We've added the dates on the grid below where it was highlighted original date. We put in 11/7/17 for both.
Mhm.
Where does that thing go on?
I see it there.
I think that was it, right?
Yeah, the one
Oh,
typo.
One typo, the Worcester
Page
was
16.
changed to Southern Essex.
Correct.
Should get today.
I'm gonna add one more.
You have one more?
I have another one as
Well, no, it's actually gonna be when we vote.
You don't wanna know.
I lost this one. I'm not.
And you've got some minor.
I got
we don't
a
need to
typo we
discuss.
should probably just bring up right
All right,
now.
okay, we'll get that, the very last, page 26. The application of here. Guess you've got some,
That's me, just tinker with the
Okay.
motion.
all right, so, but if we wanna actually read this, then this would be Dunbar Tavern, LLC.
Is that the Dunbar Tavern LLC is the applicant?
That's who's getting the comprehensive permit.
So I'm looking
Yeah.
at the final vote on the application, which says to approve the comprehensive permit application of blank or its nominee. So
Dunbar
is that the
Dunbar
nominee?
Tavern
It's
LLC.
Dunbar Tavern LLC.
All right.
Page.
26.
26. This is the
26.
final vote.
You've got some
Can we
other-
keep it?
I have one thing I just wanted to
Oh, on
mention.
this one, no, did you have something else on this?
No, we'll skip that.
Okay.
When we get there, we can.
All right,
it's-
all right,
it's a
if we get
vote.
there tonight, we'll be
It's
in
not
really
in,
good shape.
it's not informative. I just want to reference the conditions.
I don't have, I literally have no time.
You're
What
fine.
page you on?
You're fine.
Page
Okay.
2, second
Last
paragraph. Last 3-word sentence, trash will private. It's either trash collection will be private, I would guess.
Okay.
Page 2.
Oh, up top. I'm looking for, yeah,
Second paragraph, trash will private is
Oh,
the
yeah.
sentence.
Mm-hmm.
trash
I
collection.
would, trash collection will be private, I would say. Does that sound
Yep.
right?
I don't know.
Give me something to
Get
vote
all
on, will you guys, please?
Hey.
Let's go. I'm ready to go.
Hey, we have to have this correct.
Yes, man.
That's what I like to hear.
It's just all, it's all this nuanced stuff, it's fine. It has to be
Gotta
done.
get it done right, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely, I
Only
agree.
one way to do it.
I don't
John,
need
do you have
to-
any more changes?
No, I
Okay.
don't. I
I
think there's an
can't
S or two
find it.
here and there, but I'll catch
Hallelujah.
those.
All right, so what I'd like to do is,
Can you just flip them all so we can vote on
no, hang
like
on, Paul,
everything at
please.
once?
No, I have it.
What I'd like to do is
I
I'm gonna
lost the
move
last
through
one.
and ask for a motion. I think that'd be the fastest way, and if you don't like the way you do it,
No, I mean, the
Stop it.
motions, you can just read these straight through.
yeah, I'm gonna
have to do
ask
it.
for, a motion to approve a I'm gonna start like.
On the waiver, page
Waiver up, so-
6 there, Paul showing.
Yes.
So, and somebody can say so moved, maybe on, or someone, so we don't have to fight over it.
Sure.
And someone wants to second that,
I'll second it.
okay? And we'll just go that route.
That's fine.
And then see what comes up along the way, you have your version as well. So the first is regarding compliance with schedules required and minimum lot area. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from section 165-8, intensity of use schedule, minimum lot requirement for multi-family units or apartments, lot sizes which require 10,000 square feet per unit for first 2 units and 10,000 square feet per unit thereafter?
So moved.
By
Second.
Sean.
You vote on each
Yep,
one?
Yep. Hang on. It's gonna be, so any discussion on that? Do we need to do a roll call vote? you think?
So
Or-
No,
who's
we do
seconding?
not.
Who's second?
Dave
not.
Twist.
As long as you have a vote.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the intensive use schedule minimum frontage under 165-8?
So moved.
Second?
For discussion, yeah, okay, this is purely for the minimum frontage requirement, yeah, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. 5-0. Okay, regarding compliance with schedules required, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the intensive use schedule minimum side yard setback?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor, or discussion? None?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the intensity use schedule minimum front yard setback?
So moved.
Second?
Pre-existing non-conforming? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
1-0, 5-0. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the intensity of use schedule maximum building height?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
The existing building height is the old building, right, Shauna?
Correct.
So
Yeah,
they're
it's
not gonna exceed
37.
that, right? Just so we're clear, it's not the barn which is getting torn down. All right, all those
Because
in
it's
favor? Any-
37, right? It's existing 37 and the maximum's 35.
Just for the record, all right, any more discussion? All those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, 5-0. Water Resource District, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from subsection B, any use involving the retention of less than 30% of lot area in its natural state with no more than minor removal of existing trees and ground vegetation or rendering impervious more than 40% of lot area?
So moved.
Thank you, Sean. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Dave Twist. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from subsection D, any use other than a single-family dwelling with a sewage flow as determined by Title V of the State Environmental Code exceeding 110 gallons per day per 10,000? You don't need this waiver. This is the one you don't need. Correct? 165-32D, I'm gonna hold that.
No, that's the one I added, cause it was missing, and Amy put it in.
No, they removed it from the original application. This is, right? Am I wrong here?
Why?
or-
Because
it's
we
no
got,
longer
we
required.
have,
Board of Health is different though.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is the,
Right,
this is the Water Resource District. This was
Yeah.
different than the Board of Health.
yeah,
Yep.
it's completely different.
okay, so you need this
According to the
waiver,
building
right?
inspector anyway, I mean,
Sorry.
Oh, just go ahead, just go ahead, give it to her.
Yeah, no, I'm, all right, that's fine. Because
in
one of them,
case.
I don't know that we'd be necessarily in a position to grant, because we haven't discussed it, that's why.
Are we in position?
No, this isn't, if this isn't it.
Water resources?
This is a zoning bylaw
Yeah.
waiver, so.
Yeah.
You've certainly seen this.
Yeah. All right, so let me start again. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from subsection D, any use other than a single-family dwelling with a sewage flow as determined by Title V of the State Environmental Code exceeding 110 gallons per day per 10,000 square feet of lot area, or exceeding 15,000 gallons per day regardless of lot area?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just wanna read the section, the bylaw, it's 165-32. Just for the record here, you just read subsection D.
Oh, so a friendly amendment to that to approve, I'm sorry, what section is it?
165-32D.
Oh, one
Sorry,
section
yeah.
532D. Oh, subsection.
Came up
yeah.
in the discussion, but not in the motion.
Got it. Friendly amendment's gonna be 165-32D. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Do I hear, a motion to approve a waiver of site plan review?
So moved.
Second?
Paul? All right.
Dave was sleeping.
No, it wasn't.
All right, any discussion on this? I think we already talked about this earlier. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. I would like, for the record, to note I appreciate the planning board's effort on this project. They spent quite a bit of time on it and helped us out, so. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the requirement that 2 parking spaces be provided for each dwelling unit with the exception of 1-bedroom units, which will require 1 parking space per unit in reasonable proximity to the dwelling and additional parking in proximity to any additional facilities serving residents in common or guest parking shall contain no more than 12 parking spaces, and all such areas shall be adequately landscaped.
And again, the section number.
And this is section 165, 110.
So
I'll
moved.
just read the whole.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Regarding chapter 57, erosion and stormwater control, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the requirements of chapter 57? However, the proposed project would be exempt as it is an activity that required site plan review, definitive subdivision, or special permit approval from the planning board. See chapters 57-5A.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none on that. Regarding chapter 134-9, streets and sidewalks, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from section 134-9 requiring approval of drainage and grading prior to issuance of occupancy permit?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Regarding chapter 245, utility costs and street openings, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the requirement to obtain any permits for utility cuts and street openings?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dave. Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Regarding chapter 245-5, tree removal and replacement of trees, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from any permit for the removal and replacement of trees on town property?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Regarding chapters 515-1, curb cut permits, do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from the requirement that a separate permit for the curb cut be obtained by the highway department?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Okay, regarding the applicant status,
Did we miss one?
You missed
Yeah.
one.
15.
my apologies. Okay, regarding chapter 515-2, additional permits required, compliance with curb cut permits. Do I hear a motion to approve a waiver from any additional permits required due to any excavation on town property for street opening?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Very good, thanks. Regarding the applicant's status, we need to make some determinations. Do I hear a motion that the board find that, provided that the applicant shall conform to all of the requirements of 760 CMR 56.2 for a limited dividend organization at all applicable times, and provided further that the applicant shall obtain final approval and provide evidence of final approval for the project from DHCD before building permits issue, then the applicant has the appropriate status under 760 CMR 56.041 to receive and hold a comprehensive permit.
So moved.
Second.
Board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Regarding fundable project,
Chairman?
yes.
On this, the PEL, just in case anybody's wondering, that's a project eligibility letter.
Thank you.
Should we, as a change, put that in parentheses for those who may not know?
Sure, I mean, I think it's in
Mentioned
here
it
because
before.
it's
Yeah.
defined
Yeah.
earlier, but because we're reading this kind of out of context.
Is this a finding? I'm just trying to figure out how to word
Yes.
mine.
The determinations,
The board determined, okay.
yeah.
Do I hear a motion that the board, based on the project eligibility letter, determines that the project satisfies the requirement under 760 CMR 56.041B, that the project be fundable by a subsidizing agency, provided that the applicant shall, as a condition of any approval hereunder, enter into a proper regulatory agreement with DHCD, and furthermore, that DHCD shall provide final confirmation to the applicant and the board and building department that the project is fundable and has final approval from DHCD before any building permit issues.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on this? Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Regarding site control by the applicant, the applicant is a principal co-owner of the property, so do I hear a motion that the board find that based upon the project eligibility letter determination, the applicant controls the site as required by 760 CMR 56.041C?
So moved.
Second.
John? Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. I should lump these together, I guess. Do I hear a motion that, subject to the reservations and express conditions set forth herein, the board find that the applicant satisfies the jurisdictional requirements under 760 CMR 56.04?
So moved.
John,
Second.
Dave Twist, can you give us I'm not exactly sure what that means. For the,
This essentially sums up what you've just been voting on. It
Okay.
basically says, these are the three gateway requirements. You voted, you basically find that the applicant has satisfied them.
oh, the
You have to
okay,
satisfy
jurisdiction
this
requires
to-
meaning of DHCD's.
To
Yeah, okay.
qualify for a comprehensive plan.
They
Thank you.
require these sometimes.
I don't like necessarily voting on something I don't completely understand, at least. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Regarding the proposed project, do I hear a motion that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, Section 20-23, The board, after public hearing and fact findings, but not limited to, the facts stated herein and the waivers granted or denied herein, determine that, one, that the waiver decisions are based on valid health, safety, building, design, municipal and community planning, and open space concerns, weighted against the regional need for affordable housing with regard to the development as conditioned by this decision, and that, two, there are sufficient evidence to support the waiver decisions in the granting of the comprehensive permit to enable the construction of 8 units subject to the following conditions. Accordingly, the applicant by Alan Olson or its nominee Dunbar Tavern LLC for a comprehensive permit is hereby granted as conditioned with the allowed waivers for not more than 8 units subject to the following terms and conditions, all of which are binding upon the applicant as conditions of this permit.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I hear a motion that pursuant to the terms and conditions of this comprehensive permit, together with the regulatory agreement to be entered into, which will govern the affordable units, shall control the development of the the terms and conditions of this comprehensive permit, together with the regulatory agreement to be entered into, which will govern the affordable units, shall control the development of this project. To the extent the comprehensive permit and agreements are inconsistent with any other instrument, document, agreement, or plan submitted in conjunction with connection with the project, the comprehensive permit shall control to the full extent permissible by law. Thank you, Sean.
Second.
Sorry, guys. I'm a little tired of reading. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. The motion carries. Therefore,
Down to the last one,
I might actually get out of here tonight.
page 26.
Hold on 1 second, my, thing cut off. Sorry.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
think this is basically a administrative notice of what you've already voted. Okay,
Right.
You just voted to
Right.
approve this subject to these conditions.
Right.
So I don't think this requires a further motion. This is basically a record that this is how the board voted. So the board voted 5-0 to approve the permit, subject to those conditions that you just stated.
For the record, I'm gonna say that Sean Dean made the motion, and Dave Twist.
Did you skip a page?
You're going to 26 now.
Oh,
You just
shoot.
jumped way ahead.
Wait a
Screwed it all up,
second.
now we gotta make another motion, cause we can't just unilaterally put.
Hold on. I'm trying to write on this and type it at the same time, and it's not working out well. In the heat. Sorry. Okay.
You know what, this will take 10 seconds, can I just go ahead and make a motion?
You go ahead and do it, sure, absolutely.
Alright.
I'm just gonna, for the record, so this is clean, I'm gonna say, do I hear a motion to approve the comprehensive permit application of Dunbar Tavern LLC or its nominee to allow for the proposed development at 34 East Main Street consisting of a total of 8 homeownership units. 6 units are approved as market rate units, while 2 units are restricted as affordable dwelling units.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to insert one thing here. So we had just a discussion briefly with Sean about what should be inserted in here with application of. I just noticed when we read the motion earlier on page 9, that what it should reflect is that the application was by Alan Olson, that the nominee is Dunbar Tavern LLC.
Oh, right.
That's what it says in the vote. You probably should say the same thing here. So it should be application of Alan Olson.
Okay.
And then you can say, and its nominee, Dunbar Tavern LLC.
It's nominee.
Okay, so we'll make a friendly
Right,
amendment
catch
to that, motion
Okay.
as stated, that Alan Olson and its nominee Dunbar Tavern LLC. To allow for the proposed development at 34 East. Okay, any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Let the record show the vote was unanimous, 5-4-0 against. And
And
congratulations.
one more thing.
Wait,
Okay.
5-4.
5-4.
5-5. 50.
50.
50.
No.
What did I say? 5.
Why is
One
it
more
cut
thing
3?
here.
500.
It's the vote, the board to authorize you, chairman,
Oh,
to
right.
sign the decision.
Why is it saying 500?
That should have been included in this whole thing, shouldn't it?
You could have, but
All right, do I hear a motion that the board has, should I just read this whole thing?
just board
Should I,
authorization.
should I
Oh, yeah.
move?
Go ahead.
I'd like to move, that the board vote to authorize our chairman, Jeff Moore, to sign this decision on behalf of the Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals.
So moved.
Dave, any second on that? Or, no,
Second.
he made the motion, you're seconding
And we
it.
need to vote.
Do I vote on this?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Yeah, all right, I favor. I need, so that constitutes discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5 in favor, 0
You are
against.
done.
Now we're done. Okay, so congratulations, you have your special permit.
I feel like I should
That's
be a
it.
lot more
So-
excited, but I'm exhausted.
You're tired. You have the master copy?
Sean?
You're gonna-
I think I
wine.
do, with Patty, we will, and Sean,
The
we
vodka,
will
whatever you prefer.
make all the edits, and we should have it, and we'll get it back to you for signature.
Okay, I appreciate your help on this.
Perfect,
Hey,
because
Shauna?
then after it gets signed, then you file it with the town, and then we wait the 20 days, then I record it, correct?
Correct?
Are you gonna flip a copy to her just to make sure we got all the i's and dotted t's crossed, or are we good?
We will communicate by email.
I have.
She doesn't wanna communicate by
I-
email.
I-
You and I are gonna
I
communicate by
wanna keep it the
email.
way it was
Thank you for
done
your
with
time.
Amy,
Yeah.
cause I don't even know when I'm gonna
Volunteer.
That's
get to
fine.
this.
Well,
I got
it's
2
fine.
appointments tomorrow, and
It's
I
all
got the,
drafted. They
You
wanna
wanna
make
send me
changes.
something, that's
Yeah,
fine.
they-
Or
they're all set.
Amy and I.
Get,
and then I'll.
So you have all the
and-
changes, right?
You are.
Yes. This correspondence list
Hang
that
on,
was supposed to
5
be
minutes,
referenced
5
in
minutes.
here.
That's what Amy said, and so
not
I
bad.
just did a quick list
Was your chairman, was I chairman over you at any point?
today.
Yeah.
What's that?
She, at the beginning of
Good
the
question.
hearing, she said she was, I said, do we have to do marking, cause I usually mark everything exhibit A, B, 1, 2, 3.
It would essentially be
no.
the board's decisions based on the things that were placed into record, and it's a list of everything,
And
the
she said,
reports, all the
no,
rest of the stuff.
she was gonna do a list, so when I emailed her, that email I showed you, she said, no, she was gonna have a list attached to the decision.
Why don't we
Right
do
here.
one thing here?
Cause I asked her, does all the correspondence have to be attached to the decision? She said, Patty, the decision has an attachment that lists all of the documents, in parentheses, the record.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do not need to be,
We're not done, can we do one more motion here?
okay?
Authorize the chairman to review and approve a list of the documents placed into record with the board in this hearing for purposes of adding them as an exhibit list to the decision.
Bring in the decision.
You can move that the chair is authorized to review
And approve
and approve documents as exhibits.
a list of
A list of documents
documents
as exhibits
entered into evidence
and evidence.
for purposes of attaching them to the decision.
So moved.
So moved. Can we do that? Yes.
Second.
Yes, I think
Yeah, I
that'll
think
do it.
we're fine.
Just so we can do this
Okay.
without having to come back. Because I wasn't here when this was, done, and it would be
I
typical.
didn't see that either.
It would be typical for a special permit, a lot of times the decisions would
I just-
list what the board has looked at
That's
and
fine.
considered in making their findings.
Is that everything?
I think,
So your motion was on the
she
record.
was telling me.
Uh,
she
any-
was
You might wanna take a vote on that one
Yeah, no,
before you do
is there a
anything.
second?
Second.
Dave?
That's why I'm
All right.
kinda frazzled, because I'm getting different.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And
Wait,
so
this
I will,
isn't
I
everything.
will review the following,
Okay. Oh, fire department,
the
okay.
list and approve it prior to signing the decision. How's that? Make sense?
Administrative is what it is,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Just send this
We're all
to me,
set.
Patty.
Close the hearing?
So wait a minute,
We already did.
No, this hearing.
it never went back on from when.
Okay,
this-
so,
Did we just,
I'll just wait to get your draft.
We already did.
Do you want me to send you well, we went through all the changes, right?
I was trying to
So
write
I
it.
can, I mean, I think I think I have them all. I
Okay,
can
great.
send you
Send
that.
them, and then I'll,
You can work with,
Butterfly.
I assume Amy still has this in her mind somewhere, you can work with her on putting together an exhibit of this, a list. I don't know who has this. I assume, it's
Between
in the
Amy
record
and
here
Patty,
somewhere.
we'll have it.
As
I'll
the
make sure everything is.
correspondence came in, I emailed Shauna and
It's
Amy
here somewhere.
everything, and
Okay.
somehow,
This hearing is already closed, so we don't need to close it. The decision has been made, and we're all set.
Close the public meeting.
Oh, yeah, do I hear a motion to close the public meeting?
I move to close the public meeting.
Thank you, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none.